Kill for Me, the third book in what's turned out to be a trilogy, but wasn't a trilogy when I first started, of the Vartanian family. And Kill for Me is Susanna and Luke's story. The story starts back in Die for Me with the evil villain Simon Vartanian, who is an artist at heart, but he likes to paint the moment of death, and he tends to be more creative when he's seen in person. What he'd like to paint. He doesn't have a whole lot of creativity in that way. So he is a remorseless killer. He sees killing people as a means to an end. And he is stopped by Detective Vito Ciccatelli and archaeologist Sophie Johansson. Vito was introduced in an earlier book, so it's kind of a thread of his story. But within Die for Me was the subplot of Daniel Vartanian, who at the end of the book finds out that his parents have been murdered. His mother has left him an envelope full of photos, and these photos are depictions of victims of various assaults, young women, and he doesn't know who they are, but he vows, but they had belonged to his evil brother Simon. So he knows Simon has had something to do with these victims, and he vows to find them no matter how long it takes and make sure that justice is done for them as well. Which brings us into Scream for Me, which was the second book, which is released this past spring. Scream for Me is Daniel's story, and when you go through Scream for Me, you learn more about the evil Simon and more about Daniel's sister Susanna, who's had a very difficult life. At the end of Scream for Me, the villain within Scream for Me is defeated, but when they find his body, they also find the bodies of 5 young girls who have been murdered, and that they find evidence that there were more who have been taken. And so they have to find who's taken these girls. And before the villain is killed, he says, "You think you know everything, but there's another." And so that leads us into Kill for Me. And Kill for Me is Susanna and Luke's story. Luke is Daniel's friend, another Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent. And Luke is he investigates internet crimes against children, or basically the child porn cases. And he is frustrated because every time he gets close to solving a case, he's too late. And he has a terrible burden on him. Susanna has a terrible burden because she's a victim along with the girls in the pictures. And she must now come forward. And she never knew there were others. And so now she has to come forward, make things right. And all of her life, she's been trying to make up for the fact of her family dysfunction, as has Daniel. And this is their opportunity to come together, forge a family tie again. Of course, it's Luke and Susanna's opportunity to have a romance and fill all their unmet needs in terms of emotions, and make sure the bad guy pays.